So here we are. I think it's day 28 of the Feast for the Soul. And I'm going to continue here with talking about American Transcendentalists and what they have to teach us today. And I've been really interested in this woman named Margaret Fuller. She was the very first female American Transcendentalist. And I'm just going to give you a short background of her life and then tell you how she can teach us today something that Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau couldn't teach us. And so Margaret Fuller lived from 1810 to 1850. She was only 40 years old when she died. She was brought up very well educated, and her father treated her more like a son, his firstborn. He was disappointed that his first child was a female. So he started to educate her, where she was reading Greek and Latin and Shakespeare and translating German at the age of 7. So she was a brilliant, brilliant woman. She was always self-directed. And what I think about her is, whereas Ralph Waldo Emerson saw the world as he was the teacher or the minister, and he was sharing his wisdom, where he recognized beyond the Trinity of the Puritan religion, he saw that God was in everything. He called it the One. And so he lectured from there, and he loved to have conversations as part of the Transcendentalist Club with fellow people that believed what he believed. And then Henry David Thoreau decided, well, I'm going to go and excuse myself from common culture and live quietly in solitude and see if I can become self-realized out in the cabin by Walden Pond. And then here comes Margaret Fuller, educated, found favor with Emerson, and he decided to hire her to be the editor of what's called The Dial. That was the American Transcendentalist Journal. And she found her voice very early on as someone who was giving her opinion. In early 1800s was an interesting time as a woman. I mean, we had places as women that we could show up, like in a salon or playing music or doing art or having a dinner party, but there was no real empowering way to show up. Not really. But she was an anomaly because she was so well educated for a woman of her time. So she started writing for The Dial, and then ultimately got a job in a newspaper. But she said, "Where I make an impression, it must be by being most myself. Where I make an impression, it must be by being most myself." So she was very, very self-reliant, very self-determined, found her inner authority. Her father died at a young age, and she was left to take care of her mother and her 4 or 5 siblings. And so she went out to work. She taught, she wrote, and she was unafraid to speak her mind, which I'm inspired by. She found this woman, she started working for the American Monthly magazine, and she said, from a friend of hers who was trying to get her a job, her name was Elizabeth, she had sniped at the older woman, "I'd gladly sell some part of my mind for money, but I will not sell my soul. I am not willing to have what I write mutilated, or what I ought to say dictated to suit the public tastes." So she did not want to sell her soul. And with what's going on these days, we've been learning about people selling their soul for money, for influence, for power, for usually money, but for all kinds of things, for sex, for debased reasons, for drugs. People sell their soul. And how can we not do that? How can we be on guard? How can we become self-reliant and to not give ourselves away? And we all could do that in a little bit of a way, and I'm going to share some ways that I've done it, and I had to look closely. It's simple things like saying yes when I mean no, or putting up with someone's behavior because I want to be friends with them, or I want them to like me, or putting up with impacts on my life because I want to keep harmony in the household. And, there are many little ways that we can sell our souls in a way. There's big ways people have been doing it all over the country, all over the world, that we're all just finding out about. But how can we find sanctuary inside? How can we find that self-reliance and self-determination so no one has authority over us? Which is what Margaret Fuller was talking about in the mid-1800s. Not only did she talk about it and write about it, she started creating what are called conversations, like a salon or a book club for women, so that they could move beyond the norms of female culture at the time and become conversationalists and have an opinion and be able to express their opinion. So that's where she differed from the other two transcendentalists. And she traveled to Europe. She never got married, but she did fall in love and have a child, so she was definitely an outlier. And she started to witness the revolution that was going on in Europe, specifically in Italy. And one thing she noticed when she went to visit Italy and then ultimately stayed is that she couldn't square the part where she would go visit a castle and enjoy everyone in the drawing room and dance in the parlor, and then knowing all the while that there were prisoners in the dungeon below her feet. And so she started to look at human dignity and recognizing that every individual deserves dignity. And at the time there were slaves, and she was an abolitionist. At the time she would go to prisons and fight for the prison conditions. She would work with the poor, and she recognized, as do many of us here, that every individual deserves to feel their own dignity, to be self-directed. And so today I thought we could do a meditation where we come home to ourselves through an easy body scan. But I also, with the current events going on with the people selling their soul, let's just say, including any of us who give ourselves away, looking for an external authority, or saying yes when we mean no, or doing things we don't want to do for money or power or whatever it may be, influence. I thought we could review, after we're meditating for a while, the Yamas and Niyamas as some of you have experienced with me, these as sutras. Now I'm going to explain it really quickly now, and then we'll do the practice after the body scan. But so the sutras are stitches. You suture things. And so a sutra is a stitch. And what we're going to be stitching is a reflection on these 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. And you may not even know what those words mean, then it's fine. You'll understand some of these words, like practicing nonviolence. That's one of the yamas, a set of guidelines for social behavior. And we're going to look at the way in which maybe we can practice nonviolence within ourselves. Speaking the truth honestly, that's called satya. That is one of the things we'll be looking at, and how we don't necessarily tell ourselves the truth, and finding our inner authority. And you've probably heard me say that your attention, what you're paying attention with now, your beam of attention is love. And it's the non-judgmental, unadulterated attention that is love. The kind of attention you might give to a growing plant out in your garden, or your animals, or a friend. Simply this presence. Your presence is love. And we're going to be turning the attention inward to the body to coax the body, this interior world that is actually our frequency that we walk around with, and we attract things with, and we repel things with, and we that serves us like a wonderful, loving servant. We're going to be exploring the interior of the body with our attention, remembering that, love is the bridge between you and your attention and what you're paying attention to. So we'll start with a body scan, and at the end we'll do this sutra practice. And we'll just introduce these ideas, and you can do a treasure hunt for them, or you simply sit with the idea of it and let it be a commitment or a sanctuary for you, or a place of reflection for you. So it's going to be about a 20-minute meditation. I see there are lots of notes in the chat. I don't have it open right now, so sorry if I'm not responding, but thank you for joining me today. And I see people from Texas and the UK and Alberta, Canada, and Florida. Oh my goodness, people from all over. Thank you for joining me today. And I know later today there will be that global meditation for peace with the walking monks that have been walking around the United States and ended up in Washington, D.C. And if you go to the Feast website, you can find a link to find out. Oh, people are asking, why do I use AI companions? I personally use it because I want to take the information that I'm sharing with you and put it into a paragraph that I put onto YouTube. So when someone comes, I used to write them all out by hand, and I find AI companions are helpful. Anyway, I will turn it off for those of you who it makes you uncomfortable. Nobody needs an AI companion, really. I get it, but it saves me work, so we'll stop it now. And thank you again for letting me know. I love that. I love that you use your voice like that. And I'm with you. Okay. All right, so let's settle down, shall we? How would you do that? Finding the most comfortable posture you can in the chair that you're in. I'm going to start with a mindful body awareness practice, guiding you, hopefully not too much guidance, but guiding you to notice the sensations in your body and see if you can bring a loving awareness to what you notice, instead of trying to fix something, exclude something, or shame parts of your body. See if you can welcome everything. See if you can welcome the pain, the comfort, the coolness, the warmth. See if you can welcome every sensation in your beautiful body. And as we do this, and I will guide you in a moment, I just want to remind you, if you get off track and start daydreaming or thinking about a doctor's appointment or what happened when you were, in football or whatever, just come back here to the body, which is always in this present moment. Be kind to yourself at all times. Be kind to yourself at all times. Don't try to have an experience that you're not having. Have the experience you're having. And if you've done this before, just let's see if we can begin with a beginner's mind. A mind free from judgment and expectations and conditions. Lastly, let's stick with the whole 20 minutes if you can. I know some of you had to leave early, so I appreciate you being here. So I like to meditate with my eyes closed, but I know some of you like to gaze softly to the ground, so whatever feels right for you. I like to stay relatively still, but I want to let you know you can scratch an itch or open your eyes or look around or find more comfort. So let's begin. First, by becoming mindful of your breath. You can invite your breath to deepen just a little bit as you sit here comfortably. A deeper breath through the nose and exhaling fully out through the nose. Taking a few long, slow, deep breaths at your own pace. This sends a signal to your body that it's okay to relax. With each deep breath, invite relaxation. Invite the letting go of tension. And then let your breath return to its natural rhythm and depth. We'll begin by becoming mindful of the sounds around us. Listening to what is here, without judgment. Without resisting anything. Simply noticing with your bare awareness. Begin now to scan your body. We'll start with the head and work our way down to your feet. Simply noticing any areas that might be tense, or that you might judge, or that might need a little attention as it calls you with sensation. Inviting relaxation in your scalp and your forehead. Staying out of judgment as you soften your eyes. Bring your attention in and around your ears. In and around your nose. In and around your mouth. Welcome everything you feel, whether it's warmth or coolness, moistness or dryness. Sensations, vibrations, or dullness. Movement or stillness. Noticing your whole head. And inviting relaxation now to your neck. Your throat. Softening your shoulders. And letting your arms hang comfortably from your shoulders as your hands rest naturally in your lap. If you notice you're somehow holding tension, simply invite it to soften. Exploring on your own your back and your ribs, your chest. Remembering your attention is love. As you lovingly invite your body to relax. Let go of any need to hold tension in your diaphragm or your belly. Invite your hip joints to soften and relax. Tuning into the sensation in your legs. feeling your whole body, including your beautiful feet and toes. Expanding your awareness to include your entire body. And notice if an area of your body is calling your attention. An ache, a pain, some tightness. Practice feeling instead of labeling any condition. Keeping your body company instead of judging it. When thoughts about the future or the past or what you need to do arise, simply come back here and feel the sensations of being embodied, relaxed, and present. And turning your attention now to the feeling and the movement of the breath as it moves in and out, in through the nostrils, into the lungs, out through the nostrils as you exhale fully. Letting the sensation of your breath charm your attention. The warmth, the coolness, the movement and the stillness. And notice, if you will, the energy flow of your breath. Perhaps you feel the energy rise on the inhale or lower on the inhale, rise on the exhale or lower on the exhale. Imagine this energy is light. And draw this energy into your heart space, your heart center. Imagining this glow in the sanctuary of your heart. And as we do this heart-centered breath, find comfort as you sit here, glowing, breathing into the heart space, finding the sanctuary of your inner authority, your inner guru. And now I'm going to introduce some words, these guidelines that you might want to reflect on. I'll share them first in English and then in Sanskrit, and you can simply repeat them or consider them, reflect on them. We'll do one every 60 seconds or so. And the first one is nonviolence, or ahimsa. Nonviolence, ahimsa. The next yama, or guideline, that you can reflect on how you live or how you want to be, is speaking honestly and being truthful. Satya. Honesty, satya. The next yama is non-stealing. Material objects as well as attention or any dignity from anyone or yourself. Asteya is the Sanskrit word. Non-stealing. Asteya. The next is moderation or sobriety. Brahmacharya. The next and last yama is generosity, non-stealing. It's aparigraha. And now we'll reflect on the niyamas. These are personal attitudes and behaviors, how you interface with yourself. Inner disciplines such as the first one, which is purity, cleaning out what no longer serves you, clearing away impurities and negativity. It's saucha in Sanskrit. The next niyama is contentment, welcoming life as it is with appreciation. Santosha is a Sanskrit word for contentment. Another niyama is tapas, known as discipline, cultivating your spiritual inner fire daily. Tapas. The next is the study of sacred words, reflecting on sacred texts. Svadhyaya. And last but not least is living with awareness of the divine, Ishvara Pranadhana. This includes willingness to surrender, to keep the company of the awareness of the universal intelligence, however you know it. Living with the awareness of the divine. And as you sit here now, become aware of your own divinity, your own perfection, and your own inner authority. And resting in contentment. And as we keep our eyes closed and the meditation comes to an end here, simply rest in the awareness of your commitment to be here, to become your inner authority. Recognizing that you are the flame that lights the way for others. You are the embodiment of love. Maintaining this harmony, this smooth energy body that you've cultivated. You might want to inhale deeply or move your body easily into the space around you before opening your eyes. I want to thank you for joining me today. I honor the divinity in you, the divinity in all things and all beings. And I hope not to forget. But shiny objects, they do that sometimes. So we have to keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back to the sanctuary of the heart. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to open it up for discussion in a few minutes, but I'm going to stop our recording.